When the words of Bailey Hongzhuang fell, the male and female assassin could not help but look at the small beast, and then they laughed out loud. "What joke are you making?" The male assassin laughed. "This one. Based on what? An ornamental pet?" The woman could also not help but feel that Bailey Hongzhuang was really stupid. Pets like this is really not their enemy. If they wanted to, then just one sword strike would kill it completely. By sure, these two guys are laughing at you. Little Black could not help but wish for the world to be completely chaotic. Hurry up and show them your might. They think they are tigers when they are just sick cats. Little White also added. These two guys were actually quite unhappy that they could not attack. So instead they hoped that Baishur would teach them a lesson. In the eyes of Baishur was also a thick anger. He was a beastmaster, and now he was ridiculed by these two brainless idiots? This was simply unbearable. "Master, I want to kill them," Baishur said, angered. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes contained a bit of mischief when she looked to the two people. "You have angered my contract beast. You have to be prepared to withstand its anger." "Ha! She is really an idiot." The man could not help but laugh as he was thinking about how this college student was a true idiot. "Go on." Bailey Hongzhuang did not care about the man's ridicule, because soon he would know how stupid he was right now. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang directly took out her colored glass sword and did not hesitate to attack the woman. The woman was also vigilant when she saw this. Although the contract beast was useless, Bailey Hongzhuang was not to be underestimated. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang was about to attack the woman, the male assassin never put Baishur in his eyes. Instead, he picked his weapon and got ready to attack Bailey Hongzhuang. However, it was a tragedy for the male assassin. The male assassin only felt a white light flashing towards him. He suddenly felt his hairs stand on ends. He could feel a strong sense of crisis in his heart. This sense of crisis was bigger than any other he had ever felt in his many years as an assassin. Here, how could someone pose such a great threat to him? Not waiting for the male assassin to react, Baishur had swiftly rushed up to him and used a sharp teeth bite down the neck of the male assassin. The man only felt a sharp pain in his neck. He did not even have the time to react before it was directly bitten through by Baishur. The second before he died, the man finally realized what had killed him. It was the contract beast he had never looked at before. He still did not understand. How could an ornamental contract beast directly bite his neck? He was a 5th stage Red Realm practitioner. The defense of his body was much stronger than that of ordinary people. However, seeing this result, Bailey Hongzhuang was not surprised at all. How hard were the demon crystals? Baishur liked to eat them with no hindrance. The man's defensive power was simply nothing in front of Baishur's teeth. The woman was stunned by the scene, and she could not believe that the man had died so easily. When she looked at Baishur again, her eyes had completely changed. What kind of beast is this? You just need to know that he is not a normal beast. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold and indifferent. The glass sword also stabbed the woman at the exact same time. Bailey Hongzhuang collected the 3 assassins' chinquan bags. It seemed that she was also getting a lot of wealth this evening. Clap. Just as the spoils of war had been collected, Bailey Hongzhuang heard a clapping sound coming from behind her. Listening to the movements behind her, the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang turned solemn. She was unaware of who it could be at the current point in time. However, when she saw the appearance of the person, she could not help but blink in surprise. The man was dressed in a soft black robe with blue silk embroideries. The handsome face was as if God had carved it from the finest jade. The dark, deep eyes were filled with a slight smile, and these eyes were instantly recognizable for Bailey Hongzhuang. His eyes were different from Bewitching's. While Bewitching's were deep as the ocean, filled with confidence, the man in front of her was black as the night, holding a suffocating pressure and despair within. "It's you?" Bailey Hongzhuang stared at the man in front of her. This was the second time they had met each other. This person was no one else than Mo Yunjue. The Mo Yunjue she had met outside the mountain range back when the beast horde appeared. "We meet again, Bailey girl." Mo Yunjue chuckled. His eyes either intentionally or unintentionally swept across a row of houses on the left. Behind these houses, 2 men and one woman frowned when they noticed the gaze of Mo Yunjue. How come Mo Yunjue arrived here? It seems that he already noticed us. There was a hint of coldness in the woman's words. Our mission today can't be completed. Mo Yunjue's reputation is outstanding. Although I've never fought him, we are hiding well, and he still noticed us. He should be very strong. Since we have missed the opportunity, let's leave, one of the men said. The other man nodded his head. I did not expect that all three of them would die like this. It was a waste of a good opportunity. The three people no longer hesitated and left. Being an assassin was like this. As soon as they were exposed, they would have to look for another opportunity. Bali Hongzhuang could not help but look at the row of houses before she turned to Mo Yunjue. Thank you. Oh, Mo Yunjue raised an eyebrow. I don't seem to know what you were thanking me for. If you did not arrive, I am afraid that other group of assassins would not have left. Bailey Hongzhuang's beautiful face showed some signs of confidence. She too had realized that there was someone hiding there. The fluctuations were incredibly small, so she was not sure if they were there, but now everything was okay. With Han Shiling's temper, once she attacked, she wanted to make completely sure that there was no chance whatsoever of survival. Therefore, the first three assassins were just a scouting team. If they could kill her then, that would obviously be for the best. But if they couldn't, then another group would appear. She did not doubt that the second group of killers were even stronger than the previous ones. From this point of view, the assassins from Shitian Tower seemed to work together. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang, a flash of appreciation appeared in Mo Yunjue's eyes. The performance of Bailey Hongzhuang had already stunned him. He did not think that the three who had hidden so well were noticed by her. It was really unbelievable. You sure are clever. It seems that the person who wants to kill you is going to be disappointed. Mo Yunjue's lips curved upwards as he laughed. It seems that the Beastmaster has advanced quite a lot in your hands. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly, faintly answering, It has broken through once. Towards this Mo Yunjue, she has a feeling of uncertainty. When they were in the mountain range, they just made a deal. She always thought that Mo Yunjue had a heavy background and story about him. The last time they obviously reached an agreement, and Mo Yunjue also helped her once. So, she was also grateful. Bailey girl, don't you live around the Luoyan mountain range? What are you doing here in the Qing dynasty? Mo Yunjue seemed to feel the gratitude of Bailey Hongzhuang, and he asked something that made him curious. In fact, he was a cold and callous person who never had the desire to speak with people. Only this Bailey Hongzhuang was different. When he saw her the first time, he felt that she was different from other people. At that time, he was severely injured. He was quite sure that he would not be able to survive, but this woman actually helped him get rid of the poison. Therefore, now that he had seen Bailey Hongzhuang again, he could help but be interested. I'm going to Lingyin College, Bailey Hongzhuang said lightly. Why are you here? I'm just an ordinary businessman. I will naturally go where there is business. Are you a businessman? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Mo Yunjue. No matter how she looked at him, he did not resemble a businessman. Mo Yunjue's lips hooked up into a smile. Not all businessmen looks like businessmen. I'm glad I don't stink of gold and copper that most of them smell of. However, his business is quite different from ordinary businessmen's. Bailey Hongzhuang looked deeply at Mo Yunjue. With his behavior and appearance, it did not seem as if he was telling a lie. In fact, she also saw that he wasn't lying, and there was simply no need to deceive her. You don't look like a businessman, but doing business is also good. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about how he had been so injured back at the Luoyan Mountains. He was able to escape from the swallowing cloud herb, so the strength of Mo Yunjue had to be very strong. His business should not be simple. Bailey girl, you saved my life last time, and I am very grateful. If you have the time, I would like to ask you out to have a meal with me. Mo Yunjue's voice was gentle, and his eyes were like two black holes, without anything but darkness. It was impossible to see his emotions. This time you saved me. It should be me who owe you a favor. She had never liked to take advantage of others. If it wasn't for Mo Yunjue who had appeared, then her situation would have been very bad. Mo Yunjue just waved his hand. If you hadn't saved me last time, then would not have appeared this time. So I still owe you for your kindness. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned. This Mo Yunjue was good at turning things around and making her unable to refute. Okay, she say helplessly. I will have a meal with you if I get to see you in the future. They have just met each other that one time. It was amazing they met a second time. The chance to meet again is even smaller. We will meet again, Mo Yunjue said. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed with a doubtful glance. She did not understand how Mo Yunjue could be so confident. However, there was no conflict between herself and Mo Yunjue. On the contrary, they had both helped one another and should be considered friends. Then I'll see you later. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand at him before turning around and walking back to the inn. It was late, and she was not sure about how many people Han Shilling had sent to deal with her. It would save her some trouble to hurry back as soon as possible. Mo Yunjue looked at the back of Bailey Hongzhuang, and the lips curled into a faint smile, but the eyes were flashing with a bit of danger. The next moment his eyes fell on the three bodies that were laying on the ground, and his eyes were like a black hole, flashing with a cold light as the bodies were collected by him. There was nothing left apart from a bit of blood on the ground. When Bailey Hongzhuang had returned to the room, she could not help but think a bit. Master, I feel that this Mo Yunjue is not simple, Little Black slowly said. Baishur looks like this. Not many people would be able to distinguish the identity of Baishur, but he recognized it with a single glance. It is obvious he knows a lot of things. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. I also had a feeling of being unable to see through this Mo Yunjue. She was quite sure that he was deeply hidden, but she felt that it was not a good idea to judge him. Some people hide deeply. Bailey Hongzhuang thought about it for some time, but then she shrugged her shoulders. Everyone had their own story. Why should she try to pry deeper? It was the same with her. Everyone was curious as to how she had changed from being a waste to how she was now. Wasn't she still hiding her identity? Listening to what Bailey Hongzhuang said, Little Black and Little White nodded. There was a certain truth in what their owner had said. However, that Han Shilling is really disgusting. Little Black's face was full of anger. The woman was pretending to be an elegant and refined woman, but in the dark she had sent assassins to kill their master. This kind of woman, she should just stop pretending next time, is simply disgusting. Little White said. Baishur was sitting on the side as he nodded his head. He also found the woman abhorrent. The back eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang flashed with coldness. She did not have the last bit of good impression of Han Shilling. There were two kinds of arrogant women in the world. The first one had true pride and arrogance. This kind of person would never use underhanded methods to deal with their opponents, because this kind of person wanted to defeat their opponent in an honest manner. Otherwise, they would feel it shameful. The other one is fake and proud and unscrupulous. She used a proud image to face the world. She was like a white swan on the outside, but her heart was dirty. Everything was just an unspeakable disguise. Obviously, Han Shilling belonged to the second type. I will definitely give her back in the future for everything she has done to me. The voice of Bailey Hongzhuang was filled with unspeakable coldness. She would never let go of an enemy. Since Han Shilling had already attacked her, she would not be polite towards her. Only, right now Han Shilling's status was higher than hers. Han Shilling could attack her, but she couldn't attack back. However, she believed that this situation would soon change. The members of his sect had always been great figures, not to mention that Han Shilling was also the granddaughter of the Grand Elder of Tiangang's sect. From the moment she was born, she was used to being superior, and had grown to how she was today with the help of numerous cultivation resources. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's opinion was that some cultivators who came from simple backgrounds could be much more difficult to handle, because they had a determined mind and a driving force in their progress. They had no way to retreat. This is also why many of the strongest people on the Shengxian continent were from humble backgrounds. Such cultivators were usually the most horrible and most determined. When she used to be the family leader of the Bailey family, she had seen many of these cultivators. Now that she had changed her identity, she did not feel that she was wrong. As long as you were strong enough, then background had no meaning at all. Little Black, Little White, and Basishi had already understood everything after seeing the gaze of Bailey Hongzhuang. They did not need to say anything. They knew that their owner was destined to be enemies with Han Shieling. When they are reunited with Bewitching again, they would tell him directly that the one he considered a good sister actually was such an ugly woman. Bailey Hongzhuang quickly calmed down and took out the parchment roll she had gotten at the marketplace earlier. Looking at the black parchment scroll in front of her, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were bright. She could feel that there was a faint force of energy emitted from it, and she was curious. But even so, she knew that it was not certain that it was a treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang gently opened the scroll, only to find that the only thing on it was a landscape painting. "Master, is this just a painting of a landscape?" The little paw of Baishur was placed upon the scroll as he looked at the painting. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the scroll carefully, but the scroll did not seem to contain anything else than a landscape painting that was drawn upon it. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled slightly. She was a little doubtful. Logically speaking, this should not only be a landscape painting. If it was just a normal landscape painting, why can I feel a bit of mental power fluctuating on it? Bailey Hongzhuang said, puzzled as she looked at the landscape painting. Yet at that moment, the fluctuation she had felt earlier disappeared. "Master, I heard that some people might add a bit of soul power to useless things, so that the buyer think that it is a treasure and buys it at a high price. It was said that a businessman would never suffer a loss." But Little White shook his head. That is not the case here. If he was doing it deliberately, then he would definitely not let her take it away like that. I too could feel the mental fluctuation of this parchment scroll. Little White's expression was doubtful. What could be the reason? Bailey Hongzhuang gazed at the parchment roll. She felt that it was not as simple as being a landscape painting. What's more, this scroll was only as big as a palm. Who would paint on such a small canvas? Her hands gently touched the material of the parchment scroll, and Bailey Hongzhuang found that it was very different from normal scrolls. Is there really no problem with this parchment scroll? In the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang, a bit of doubt flashed. When she followed the family elders, they would tell her that some people would seal a real treasure using some methods. As a result, many would miss the treasure. Only those who knows about it could unlock it. Her fingertips kept gently rubbing the parchment roll while considering what to do, what was feasible. Suddenly, there was a firm light in the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang. It didn't matter. She should give it a try. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang reached out for a candle. Seeing her actions, all three beasts showed a bit of confusion. They quickly asked, "Master, what are you doing? Since I don't know if this parchment scroll is useful, it's better to try some different methods. If it is successful, it'll obviously be the best, but if it isn't, that's fine too. If it isn't, it would have been useless in my hands anyway." Bailey Hongzhuang was indifferent. She knew that the method of burning it with fire was somewhat risky, but how would she know if it worked without trying it? If it failed, then it would not matter. Hearing it, the three beasts thought for a moment before they nodded their heads. What their owner said made a lot of sense. They had no reason to object. Bailey Hongzhuang placed the parchment scroll on top of the candle, allowing for the heat to penetrate through the material. The parchment scroll twisted at this temperature for a moment, but Bailey Hongzhuang saw that there were 3 layers to this parchment scroll. The front and the back were ordinary parchment scrolls, and the landscape painting, which had been drawn so beautifully, had now become nothing. In the middle of the 2 layers, a small thin piece of paper appeared. Success! Little Black couldn't help but be excited. This was truly the feeling of finding a treasure. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips also turned into a bright smile. It seemed that her judgment was correct. When she had rubbed the parchment scroll, she had felt that the material was slightly thicker than normal, but there was really not much of a difference. She did not think that there was something wrapped within the 2 layers of parchment paper. It seemed that whomever had made this parchment scroll had spent a whole lot of thought on it. It was very difficult to make the parchment scroll this thin and perfectly blend the 2 pages together. Since even she had been unable to tell anything was amiss, Bailey Hongzhuang knew that this was not an easy thing to achieve. After burning the parchment scroll, Bailey Hongzhuang took the piece of paper that had been in the middle and placed it on the table. After the burnt paper slowly disappeared, Bailey Hongzhuang saw the content of the paper. This is a map? After seeing the content that was drawn on the paper, Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but be stunned. Master, this should be a map, Little Black agreed with a nod of his head. However, this is not the entire map. Bailey Hongzhuang carefully looked at the mountains and rivers that were drawn on the paper, and she also saw a red route that was drawn onto the map. It was just that there was a starting point, but there was no end point to it. Looking at the mountains and rivers at the edge, Bailey Hongzhuang could also be certain that this was not a complete map. This should only be a part of the map. As for the other parts, I am afraid I don't know where they are. When Bailey Hongzhuang's words fell, the expressions of the three beasts turned somewhat disappointed. I thought it would be a treasure map, but where are the other parts? Little Black snorted. Even if it is a treasure map, finding the other parts will be very difficult. It went to show that just this piece of paper was so well hidden, it was really not simple. How well would the other parts be hidden? However, it was a true accident that they had been able to find this map. The Shangxian continent was so big, and they really didn't know where to go to find the other parts. They didn't even know if they would see the second part of this map in their lifetime. Bailey Hongzhuang gently petted Little Black's head. This little one was correct. Anyway, it's not a bad thing to have in my hands. In the future, if we are able to find the rest, then that'd naturally be the best. But even if we don't, then that's just how it is. Bailey Hongzhuang was very calm about this. This kind of thing could not be controlled by humans. It all depended on luck. At least it proved that her previous judgment was correct. There was really something within the parchment scroll. Early the next morning, Bailey Hongzhuang gathered with the others outside the inn. The rest they had was enough to make them feel refreshed. Now it was time to continue. Bailey Hongzhuang returned the inn to the shopkeeper, but he returned the purple gold coins to Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing the situation, Bailey Hongzhuang was surprised and puzzled. What are you doing? The shopkeeper smiled. Girl, you gave me far too much money to buy this inn for me. It is enough to buy quite a few inns. How could I accept your money? Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and waved. Since I said so, naturally I meant it. You should accept it. Girl, I know you were forced to do this yesterday. I also want to thank you for helping me out. The money, however, I can't afford to accept. The attitude of the shopkeeper was very firm. He had been doing business for many years and had never cheated a customer. He couldn't take advantage of this girl. If you refuse to accept the money, then I can only choose to give up my inn, but the inn is very important to me. Everyone saw that the shopkeeper was so stubborn, and they could not help but be surprised. Everyone wanted a profit, but the shopkeeper was doing the exact opposite. Suddenly, they all had a very good impression of the shopkeeper. Such people were very rare nowadays. Hongzhuang, since the shopkeeper said so, then accept the money, Xia Jiqing persuaded her. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang looked deeply at the shopkeeper and said, Well, thank you then. The shopkeeper waved his hand again and again. This is how it should be. Be safe on your journey. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others got ready to start traveling again and planned on leaving Longwang town. When the shopkeeper returned to the counter, he was surprised to see that there was a purple gold coin on the counter. When he saw this, the shopkeeper could not help but laugh. His heart was a little more grateful towards Bailey Hongzhuang. So talented, she will become something big in the future. Soon after Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had appeared, the cultivators of Beihai College also showed up. When enemies meet, it is natural for jealousy to appear. If eyes could kill, then Bailey Hongzhuang would have died several times over. Yesterday, Lu Jingqi ate a loss twice in the hand of Bailey Hongzhuang, and she was very unhappy. She did not think that the mentor would scold them for this matter, but it really made her feel suffocated. If she could, she would have killed both Xia Jiqing and Bailey Hongzhuang, but she did not have enough confidence in her strength, so she had no other option than to endure. Lu Jinglin and the others were also cold after seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and her friends, not at all concealing the hatred in their eyes. However, the mentors had already told them not to start any fights. If they truly wanted to fight, Then they had to wait until they arrived at Lingyin College. They had no other option than to listen to their mentor. However, their hearts were hurting, and they couldn't wait to let this bad breath out. Xia Jiqing noticed that although Lu Jingqi had seen her, she did nothing. It was a bit strange, but she could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at the members from Beihai College with indifference before they turned back towards the road leading to Lingyin College. In fact, from beginning to end, it was always the students of Beihai College that were looking for trouble. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others were not the kind of people to stir up a conflict. After Bailey Hongzhuang and the others left, the practitioners from Beihai College picked another road. If they stayed on the road that Bailey Hongzhuang and those had picked, then they would meet all the time, and they would be unable to hold back. The cultivators from Beihai College took another road from us. That's strange. Xia Jiqing said in a loud voice. That's not their style. Dongfang Yu's eyes were also slightly surprised when he answered. They took another route today, and their mood was quite different. I think they were reprimanded by their mentor. Although they could not see the mentors, they knew they were close by. Everything that happened yesterday was likely to be known to the Beihai College mentors. The confrontation between the students was already so volatile, but the confrontation between the mentors would be even more intense. Xia Jiqing smiled brightly. You're most likely right. It has to be like this. Even if they had lost twice with the character of Lu Jingqi, it was impossible to back down like this. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a slight smile. Sooner or later we'll meet again. Let's go. After 2 weeks, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others finally arrived at the imperial capital of the Qing dynasty. The Qing dynasty was a large country, and the broad streets with the magnificent buildings proved their long history. Walking on the streets, the traffic was busy, and the pedestrians were moving in a constant stream. The bustle was unlike any they had seen before. All kinds of things they had never seen before appeared here, even for Bailey Hongzhuang. So there was naturally some surprise and interest in her eyes. Wow, the imperial capital of the Qing dynasty is so prosperous. Xia Jiqing's eyes sparkled with excitement, and her head was constantly turning as she tried to see everything at once. It was simply too spectacular. Lingyin College is located in the imperial capital of Qing dynasty. Zhang Yinfeng was astounded. Lingyin College was located at such a bustling place. It was far different from what she had expected. Although the city was lively, it was almost too lively. A college was for students to practice. Such a prosperous place could confuse students. Lingyin College was originally located at Lingyin City, which is at the border to the Qing dynasty. It was only after the sponsoring of the royal family that they moved to the imperial capital. Today, the princes and princess of the Qing dynasty is studying at the Lingyin College, and it has become the Royal College. Gong Xiaoqing said slowly. As they listened, they all understood. They had not expected the relationship between Lingyin College and the Qing dynasty to be so close. No wonder that Lingyin College won twice in the college tournament. With the financial support of the Qing dynasty, they have many more resources than others. Cui Haoyan could not help but say. Gong Xiaoqing waved his hand. They lost the original purpose from setting up a college. They serve the royal family now, and there's a lot of restrictions on the students. I heard that amongst the Lingyin Academy students are many royals and nobles, and the requirement for these to enter is extremely low, while all the ones from poor upbringing has the harshest conditions to join. This is also why so many are going to Kanglan College now. Even if the resources are a bit lacking compared to Lingyin College, they will not have to be ridiculed by others, nor will they have the same restrictions. Dongfang Yu spread his hands as he said. When Lingyin College became servants of the Qing dynasty, this situation was to be expected. Everyone is entitled to think as they wish, but for the principal of the Lingyin College to force us to follow them like this, it is going too far. Bailey Hongzhuang was calm. She never felt that there was any right or wrong. It is just that you cannot force your thoughts onto others. Everyone nodded. This was also what was making them immensely annoyed. While everyone were discussing, Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo had appeared in front of everyone. The vice principal went to see a friend here in the Qing dynasty. We'll take you to the Lingyin College first. Lu Huayan smiled and said. These students had never shamed them. Instead, they were their pride. There was also a smile on everyone else's face. They were very curious about the Lingyin College. Under the leadership of Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo, they slowly moved towards Lingyin College. On both sides of the street, many had their eyes turned towards Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. It was, after all, very eye-catching to see such a group of young and talented cultivators. I heard that the 3-college tournament is about to begin. This group of young experts must be cultivators from one of the other 2 colleges. Should be. I have seen many of Lingyin College's students, but these people I have never seen before. I don't know where they are from, but these students are really beautiful. Even so, Lingyin College is always the strongest. Lingyin College has already won 2 consecutive tournaments. If they win again, that is 3 victories in a row. The people were laughing as they chatted. They had always had good feelings towards Lingyin College. I can see that Lingyin College has a good reputation in Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Lingyin College has produced many outstanding geniuses. The Qing dynasty is also highly respected, so naturally the reputation is very good, Lu Huayan explained. However, this is also good. Lingyin College is now more and more eye-catching, and you have the chance to grasp an opportunity and turn it all around. Along with the words of Lu Huayan, the people looked at each other and seemed to understand that this was truly a feast of Hongmen. They could easily imagine that now they had arrived at the Lingyin College, they would become the subject of provocation and ridicule. The royal family had already been unrelenting, not to mention their college had already lost twice in a row. Almost no one were optimistic about their college this time. Under the leadership of Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others finally arrived at Lingyin College. The white gate was big and magnificent. The gold-plated 4 characters shimmered in the sunlight. From this alone, one could see the strong financial backing that the college had. This Lingyin College is really different. After being sponsored by the Qing dynasty, even the door is made so special, much more refined. Cui Haoyan smiled and said with emotion. By just looking at the gate, he could guess that everything within Lingyin College had been made with a mountain of money. In contrast, Kanglin College was indeed much simpler. Everyone had different feelings as they observed Lingyin College. However, just as they were about to enter the gate, a small guard stepped forward. Who are you? Only students of this college is allowed to enter. We are from Kanglin College and has come to participate in the college tournament, Fu Hongbo explained. When the words fell, Fu Hongbo was ready to enter the college, but the guard was still blocking the entrance with his body. How do I know if you are from Kanglin College? The guard looked at them with ridicule and sneered. Fu Hongbo frowned slightly. So how do we prove it? Take out your identity token, the guard said. We will not let every cat and dog enter our Lingyin College just because they want. They have to see if they are worthy. Hearing the words of the guard, the expressions of everyone's faces turned ugly. The guard was clearly saying that they were not worth enough to enter Lingyin College. Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan looked at one another, and although they saw the anger in the other's eyes, they did not flare up. Identity token? What kind of identity token? Lu Huayan's eyes flashed with doubt. Before, no one had said anything about needing identity tokens to enter the college. Last time they came to the college, there was not anything like this either. Did the Lingyin College change these past 3 years? Proof that could determine that you are from Kanglin College. The guard smirked as he had no intention of giving Lu Huayan an answer. Then inform your principal. He knows us and will be able to prove our identity. Fu Hongbo endured the anger as he said. The guard wanted to mock them further and looked at Fu Hongbo. Just by you. What makes you think you have the right to see our principal? He is always very busy. If everyone asked to see him, he would have no time for anything else. Get out if you can't find a proof of identity. Don't stand here and block the door. It will damage the reputation of the Lingyin College. Seeing his mocking expression, he successfully ignited Dongfang Yu and the other's anger. Even a guard is so arrogant. It is simply unbearable Fu Hongba also felt anger and wanted to end it right away. However, just as Fu Hongba was about to actually do something, a mocking voice was heard behind them. Hey, someone was actually stopped outside the college. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others turned around only to see Xue Haoling and the others led by two mentors. The person who spoke was wearing a black robe and was a mentor of Beihai College, Duan Yingwu. Fu Hongba's eyes were gloomy. Duan Yingwu had always been narrow-minded, so the ridicule was within his expectation. When they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had been stopped, the expressions on Xue Haoling and the others turned smug. The previous suffocation, now they could return it, since they had arrived at Lingyin College. Duan Yingwu smiled and looked at Fu Hongba, but he did not care too much and led the students behind him inside. However, the guards who had been stopping them before allowed the Beihai students entry. He even had a smile on his face as he looked at Duan Yingwu and Imo Xinghai. Mentor Duan, Mentor Imo, you have arrived. Duan Yingwu smiled provocatively at Fu Hongba and Lu Huayan as he said, the location for our Beihai students should have been prepared, right? Of course it has. The guard nodded his head. Please enter. Seeing this Skni, Xia Jiqing could not help but ask, why can they be allowed inside without a proof of identity? Duan Yingwu and the others stopped because of her words and gave Fu Hongba a sly look. It was rare to see such a joke. Naturally, they had to enjoy it. Can your identity be compared to ours? Lu Jingxi asked with a smug smile. Our mentors are famous. Who knows about some country bumpkins who came from God knows where? When they heard these words, the lips of Xue Haoling raised. They had eaten a loss at Bailey Hongzhuang's hands now. They must let her feel their superiority. This kind of people, we don't know where they come from. Guard, you have to check it. Lu Jinglin almost screamed as she looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with eyes filled with resentment. This Bailey Hongzhuang was treated specially by Xiaolan Mei. This was hurting her greatly. And because of the injury Bailey Hongzhuang had given her, she had suffered a lot of pain. The two mentors were harsh, and although she was injured, they would not slow down, causing her to be in severe pain. This was all Bailey Hongzhuang's fault. Now, under the introduction of the mentors, they have a slight understanding of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, and know her name is Bailey Hongzhuang. Feeling the resentful gaz of Lu Jinglin, Bailey Hanswang is calm, and the resentment has no influence on her. The guard nodded his head and said, I will check their identity. Imo Xinghai smiled. Everyone must be tired after moving so long. Let's go to see the accommodation prepared by Lingyin College and take a rest. Yes, Su Aoling and the others opened their mouth and laughed excitedly. They thought that the people of Kanglin College were mad over being stopped outside the gate. As the cultivators of Beihai College disappeared from the vision of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, everyone's eyes fell on the guard again. Mentor, why bother with him? Let's just go inside. Cui Haoyan could not help but say. This kind of annoying person who was deliberately making a fool of them and refusing to say anything straight. In fact, they can feel that this is the attitude of Lingyin College. How can a guard make such trouble on his own? Cui Haoyan is right. We can just enter. The guard can't stop us. Bai Junyu agreed. They were here to represent the Kanglin College, but were stopped by a mere guard. This was an embarrassing matter. Listening to the words, the expression on the guard's face changed slightly, but he soon said, You want to force your way into the Lingyin College? Do you think I want dare get the royal guard to drive you away? Lu Huayan and Fu Hongba looked at one another, not sure about what to do. This reflected exactly what I had expected. If they forced their way in, they would get a bad reputation, but staying here would be humiliating. Once the royal guard appeared, they would be arrested. Then this could be a big trouble. Even if they knew that this was the idea of the Lingyin College, they were at a loss for what to do. At this point in time, Bailey Hongzhuang spoke up. Are you sure you want us to be locked outside? The guard looked at her and said, Of course, you can't prove your identity. How can I let you inside? Lu Huayan and Fu Hongba also looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with doubt. Right now, they had no solution. Maybe she could fix it? We were invited by Lingyin College to participate in the tournament. You dare to stop us from entering. Are you sure you can afford to do this? The momentum of Bailey Hongzhuang was unstoppable. Even if Lingyin College were going against them, this was too much. If they did not show their attitude, then they would simply be despised. Previously, someone told him it was best to make things difficult for the Kanglin students and make them lose face. However, when the woman said this, he did not know how to answer. After a moment of hesitation, the guard said, "As a guard, I will stop anyone unknown. What responsibility do I have to take?" After speaking, the guard showed a smugness in his eyes. He would not be scared. If this student of Kanglin College wanted to be too much, he would make her forced to submit. Just as the guy wanted to see Bailey Hongzhuang turn pale, he saw her sneer. "Since Lingyin College does not welcome us, we are leaving." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba when she said this. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba also nodded their heads. They could not continue this deadlock. It was better to just leave. As for the follow-up, they would find a way to handle it later. When the guard saw that the Kanglin College's people were about to leave, the expression on his face finally flashed with some color. He was only ordered to cause some problems for the students. If they really left, he would not be able to handle the aftermath. Xia Jiqing and the others did not hesitate and left together with the two mentors. The attitude of Lingyin College was simply too disgusting. Wait, seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others get ready to leave, the guard could not help but call out. Bailey Hongzhuang stopped her steps and looked at the guard, sarcasm heavy in her eyes. "What now? We are not even at the door of Lingyin College. If something is broken, don't come at us for it." Hearing the sarcasm in her voice, the guard's face turned red. His expression was ugly before he raised his chin in arrogance once more. "Wait a moment. If anyone can prove your identity, I will let you in." When he spoke, everyone were silent. It seemed that he still wanted them to show gratitude to him. "No need." Bailey Hongzhuang lifted her hand slightly. "We can see the hospitality of the Lingyin College clearly." Bailey Hongzhuang glanced at Xia Jiqing and the others and said, "Let us leave this place. They are too arrogant." Next, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others walked away with steady steps. This kind of place, if they continue to stay, they'd just be ridiculed. Why would they do that? "Hey, you guys." The guard looked at the back of Bailey Hongzhuang and her group, and his face became ugly. He did not expect that the situation would become like this. As a matter of fact, these people from Kanglin College should not try to leave. How come a situation was like this? Thinking about it, the guard rushed into the college with an anxious expression on his face. He had to tell the higher-ups. Soon after the people from Beihai College had entered Lingyin College, the two mentors of Lingyin College came to greet them. "Mentor Duan, Mentor Imo, we haven't seen you for a long time." One of the instructors of the school, Ruan Yulong, had a happy smile on his face. Seeing Ruan Yuong, Duan Yingwu, and Mo Xinghai's facts also reveal a smile. "Hello, Mentor Ruan. We haven't seen you for a while. It seems your strength has increased." Ruan Yulong smiled lightly and seemed modest, though he said with heartfelt pride, "A bit stronger. You have arrived. I don't know when the students from Kanglin College will arrive." The mentor next to Ruan Yulong asked. Hearing this, Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai could not help but laugh. They're being blocked at the door. The guard wanted them to prove their identity. "I am afraid they won't be able to enter for a while." Duan Yingwu chuckled. "The good drama has already begun." Ruan Yulong chuckled. "I would have liked to see this good show for myself." Mo Xinghai nodded his head. "It was indeed a good show." Lu Huayin and Fu Hongba had faces as gloomy as water, but they had not attacked. There is nothing in their Kanglin College. They can't turn it around, even if they got some luck in the ruins. Yu Yulong's face was filled with disdain. This kind of collage has no right to enter. The mentors did a good job. They should be unable to verify their identity. The four mentors smiled at each other. There was some ridicule in the smiles. "Today is really fun. Isn't that Bailey Hongzhuang so good normally? Isn't it just being humiliated as well?" Lu Jinglin's eyes flashed with success, but her eyes were on Xiao Lanmei. She wanted to know what his attitude towards all this was. Lu Jingqi was also very excited. "Today I am really too happy. They deserved it. Now let's see them getting a slap in the face. She was disgusted with Xia Jiqing. Now she wanted to see her being taken down a notch. I don't know how long the students will have to wait outside. Xueling also felt that he was letting go of a bad breath. Although he had no evidence, he knew they had taken his Chinquan bag. It was impossible for ordinary people to do so. Xiao Lanmei was indifferent, as if it had nothing to do with him. Lu Jinglin also let go of her impression after seeing Xiao Lanmei like this. It did not seem like H treated her that special after all. However, just as the four mentors were all very happy, the guard came rushing over. Mentor Ruan, Mentor Jiang. Seeing the guard, Ruan Yulong also felt he had done a good job and smiled. You did a good job today. It earned face for our academy. He was the first person to let them know their lowly identity when they came to the academy. Mo Xinghai and Duan Yingwu's faces were also filled with smiles. This trick is really making them happy. However, the guard who had run all the way had an anxious expression and gasped with a big breath. That Ruan Yulong patted the guard's shoulder. What about them? Say it slowly. They left. At this moment the guard said it, and Ruan Yulong was shocked, frowning slightly. Who left? The team from Kanglan College. They are gone. The guard's face was very ugly. He did not think that they would leave just like this. If they don't participate in the tournament, it would be horrible if he got blamed by the principal. Ruan Yulong's face changed. What? How is this possible? What did you do? Mentor, I asked them a proof of identity, just as you instructed me to. And instead of arguing, they just left like this. The guard looked bitter. Mentor, I did everything as you instructed me to. You have to save me. The reason he dared to be so arrogant was because he was certain the team would not leave, only look for a way to enter the college. He had never expected they would do the complete opposite. It made him dumbfounded. To become a guard of Lingyin College was a good job. He had used a lot of personal relationships and was able to finally become one. He couldn't lose this job because of this. Not only Ruan Yulong, but also Jiang Lihui's faces suddenly changed. No matter how much they looked down on the college, now that they had left, they could not handle the consequences. How could they go? Ruan Yulong was unable to believe it. Won't they participate in the college tournament? According to what he had thought, they would not leave. Duan Yingwu and Mo Xinghai were also shocked at this point. They had made the college tournament earlier for the sake of dealing with the Kanglan College. As long as the Kanglan College failed this time again, the college would never be able to lift its head in the future. Now that the team from Kanglan College had left, if they didn't participate in the college tournament, then hadn't they lost greatly this time? The most important thing was that it was all caused by Lingyin College, who blocked their entry. So even if they choose to drop out from the tournament, then it was not their fault. This could be very troublesome. Hongzhuang, we left just like this. Do we not participate in the tournament? Xia Jiqing could not help but ask the things that worried her. Bailey Hongzhuang waved her hand. Of course we will participate in the tournament. So what do we do now? Xia Jiqing asked in a confused way. We just need to find an inn here in the imperial capital. Everything was arranged by the Lingyin College, and they will definitely not be willing to see us leave like this. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a confident smile. In her opinion, the trick used by Lingyin College is simply too stupid, rejecting them for the sake of ridiculing them. But when they left, their principal would have to come back and apologize to them. Which college would lose the most face by this? Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo completely understood after listening to the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, and their hearts were filled with admiration toward her. Bailey Hongzhuang was really smart. Since they will not let us leave, they will come and ask us to come back. We will just find an inn and live in, while experiencing Qing Dynasty's imperial capital the next 2 days. Lu Huayan smiled. This method of Bailey Hongzhuang, not only did it save their face and save them from humiliation, it also made the Lingyin College lose face. It was definitely the best solution. Listening to the two mentors, Bai Junyu and the others understood what was happening, and their faces showed a smile. After we said we were leaving, the guard's face instantly turned into the color of a pig's liver. Xia Jiqing smiled happily. At this moment, since she had understood all the ins and outs of the matter, She did not have the same tension as she had in the beginning. Now that she thought of the appearance of the guard, she could only feel that it was all ridiculous. The guy was annoying, and we left. He must be very unhappy now. As practitioners of Kanglan College, they have always been respected, but here they were being humiliated. Dongfang Yu chuckled. Even if the guard was ordered to do this, when this is informed to the Lingyin College principal, he will not have a good time. As Dongfang Yu said this, the others gave him a thumbs up. This was simply the best. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others randomly found an inn in the imperial capital. Even though they had traveled for a long time, they were only a little tired. Instead, they were interested in the imperial capital of the Qing dynasty. The two mentors have already gone to meet the vice president. Why don't we go out and experience the imperial capital at night? Cui Haoyan's face was full of smiles that resembled the spring breeze. Although the results of the college tournament was not optimistic, at least he was in a good mood. Hearing the question, the faces of the others were also showing a color of interest. When they first came to Qing dynasty, they should enjoy themselves. Since we are already here, let's go shopping. Isn't it a waste if we don't? Dongfang Yu grinned. Let's set out. After leaving the inn, everyone went to a restaurant to eat. After asking around, they knew a bit about the Qing dynasty. The first tower had the most delicious meals. The group did not hesitate to head towards the first tower. Every region had different kinds of specialties. They had finally arrived at the Qing dynasty, and their hearts were filled with curiosity. They naturally had to try out the most delicious food from this area. Standing in front of the door to the first tower, everyone had a bit of surprise in their eyes. On the golden nameplate, the 3 characters of the first tower was written as if the calligraphy was dragons and phoenixes dancing together. The first tower was like its name, the best restaurant in the Qing dynasty. Bailey Hongzhuang had just entered the restaurant when she saw a smiling waiter come towards her. Several guests. There is no space on the second floor. All rooms are rented out. I do not know whether or not you wish to eat in the lobby. Everyone nodded their heads. Sitting in the lobby was also a good decision because people were usually talking well and they could listen in on important conversations. When they arrived, they knew nothing of the Qing dynasty. Maybe they could hear some favorable news. Under the guidance of the waiter, Bali Hongzhuang and the others were seated in the center of the lobby. They had to admit that the business in the first tower was extremely busy. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others intentionally entered the most popular restaurant. Even so, they had not expected it to be this filled. Dear guests, I assume this is your first time coming to the first tower. Do you need me to recommend our signature dishes for you? The waiter was obviously very friendly, and he took the lead in introducing them after seeing the approving appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang. Seeing the waiter's enthusiasm, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also let much more comfortable with this waiter. Then we will trouble you with finding some dishes for us from the first tower. We are 8 people, please decide for us. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. With pleasure, the waiter nodded. Please wait for a moment, and the wine will be delivered. After the waiter left, Zhang Yinfeng smiled and said, although I don't know much about this first tower, the waiter is very clever and friendly. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. In my opinion, the owner must have spent a lot of time on training the waiter. I also think that this restaurant is elegantly furnished. There is no lack of luxury, and everything you could ever want from a restaurant can be found here. Dongfang Yu sighed. However, while they were looking at the layout of the first tower, they did not know that someone on the second floor were looking at them. Second brother, do you see those 2 great beauties in the lobby? In the middle, a teenager around the age of 17 was saying with excitement as his eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Third brother, although the beauties of the Qing dynasty are quite a few, can they really be considered great beauties? Opposite the teenager, a man around 19, wearing a green robe, was looking at him with a bored expression. Nangong Yujin's face had an expression of excitement. Second brother, I am telling the truth. If you don't believe me, then take a look. Seeing that Nangong Yujin was so serious, Nangong Shujia looked towards the lobby of the first tower. Just with this one look, he could no longer believe his eyes. When did two such beautiful women come to our imperial capital? I did not get any news about this. Nangan Shiojia's eyes sparkled with a dazzling light as he coveted the woman below. So beautiful, it was simply otherworldly. Second brother, that woman with the hibiscus-colored dress is so warm and affectionate. The tenderness is like water. It is truly the best among the best. Nangong Yujin's word revealed a strong interest. This woman was so delicate and beautiful, she was out of this realm. It was really the first time they saw a woman like this. Nangong Shioja looked at the hibiscus-dressed woman, but then his eyes fell on the white-dressed woman. He could not help but think that she was the real beauty of the two. Both appearance and temperament were one of a kind, especially since the smile had completely caught his heart. This kind of rare beauty, he would never let her go. That was not the style of Nangong Shiojia. I think the white-dressed woman is more moving. Nangong Shiojia rubbed his chin as he said, his eyes sparkled with excitement. He had not been this excited for a long time already. Listening to the words of Nangong Shiojia, Nangong Yun also smiled. It seemed as if his second brother understood his thoughts. In this case, isn't that great for the two of us? Nangong Shiojia nodded. It is indeed good. After waiting for some time, the wine they had ordered arrived. Looking at the delicious wine in front of them, everyone were eager to get their dishes. This wine has a pretty color. The color and the fragrance is both superior. I just don't know how it tastes. Let's try it. Xia Jiqing smiled. Everyone also tasted a bit. After tasting it, they could not help but sigh. Sure enough, this was the Fizz Tower. The taste was really amazing. This taste is really good. Bai Junyu smiled. The wine from this big dynasty was truly special. At the same time, the conversation from all the others entered their ears. I hear that one of the 3 colleges were deliberately made fun of at the entrance of Lingyin College. Later, the team left Lingyin College directly. Did you know of this? Left? I didn't hear about this, but if they really left, can the college tournament continue? I don't understand why Lingyin College would do this. It's a bit too much. The man shook his head. Lingyin College was always very important in their minds. The status was very high, but this kind of move was simply shooting themselves in the foot. I don't know, but the college has lost twice in succession. It is normal to be ridiculed. The strength of Lingyin College is the highest. Bai Junyu changed his mind. Originally, I wanted to see the strength of Lingyin College, but now I have no interest in them at all. He had also respected the achievements of Lingyin College over the years, and was humble to learn from them. Although Lingyin College couldn't judge right from wrong and relied on the Qing dynasty, at least Lingyin College had some very good cultivators. However, when they showed this kind of attitude today, it proved that they had already fallen. Lingyin College has been attached to the royal family of the Qing dynasty for quite some years now. It is normal that it is filled with high-ranked people. Gong Shaoqing slowly said, and there was a bit of disdain in his eyes. A talented gentleman was obviously well-liked, but a person with strength but a narrow mind was simply just a villain. It was impossible for them to admire the strength of Lingyin College now. While they were eating, they listened to the laughter and talks of the people around them. All kinds of news were being discussed, but most of it was useless for them. At the same time, Nangong Shiojia and Nangong Yujin slowly descended from the second floor. Their heads were held high and they walked with elegance. A folding fan was held in the hands, showing that they were graceful. Hey, isn't that the second prince, Nangong Shiojia, and the third prince, Nangong Yujin? This first tower restaurant is really excellent. I heard that the royal family wanted to recruit their chef. They came to the first tower to recruit the chef, but why would the chef not go with them? Instead, the princes often come here to eat instead. Especially the second and third prince are regular customers. Where are the 2 princes going? They are heading towards the lobby? Do they know someone who is sitting in the lobby today? The eyes of everyone turned somewhat strange. If it was someone that knew the 2 princes, then their identities could not be normal. How could they eat in the lobby? Nangong Shiojia and Nangong Yujin had a smug and confident smile on their faces. As princes, they were the center of attention no matter where they went. With the words of these people, things were likely to go their way now. Listening to the conversation of the other customers, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others could not help but look at Nangong Shojia and Nangong Yujin. Not for any other reason, but because Nangong Shojia and Nangong Yujin were both students of Lingyin College. The strength is outstanding, and they would likely be their opponents in the tournament. After a slight glance, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others returned to eating their food. After all, they would not be able to really understand these people from just a glance. After all, they just wanted to be able to recognize them. As for the college tournament, it was impossible to do anything to them as they were from Kanglan College. The president would not allow it since they still needed the college to accept the tournament. However, when they turned around, Nangong Shojia and Nangong Yujin had stopped at their table. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others looked at one another. It was quite difficult to guess what was going on. The news about their departure earlier, could it be that they already knew of their identities? However, the words that Nangong Shojia said made them understand that it was purely them who thought that they knew their identity. Pretty girls, why not come with us to the palace to have a deep conversation? Nangong Shojia's voice was warm, and his lips were curled into a faint smile. The expression was one of a polite young master. However, when his voice fell, his eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang, and it was as if Gong Shaoqing and the other men were not present at all. This made all of them understand. Nangong Shojia was not polite. He was being arrogant. What if we don't want to? Xia Jiqing's voice was cold. The attitude of Nangong Shojia was very unpleasant. Gong Shaoqing and the other three men looked at one another. They instantly understood that they were looking for Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinwei. Thinking about it, Gong Shaoqing and the others were somewhat helpless. They belonged to the special enrollment class of the Kanglan College, but these two women were the most attractive ones they had ever seen. At first, Lu Qinwei was hailed as the #1 beauty of the academy, attracting all male cultivators to pursue her. Many even joined the academy for the sake of seeing her. Since Bailey Hongzhuang arrived, the situation had not become better. In fact, it had just become more intense, because now half the cultivators were after Lu Qinwei and the other half were after Bailey Hongzhuang. Even though these guys had been with Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qinwei for a long time, they still found them pleasing to the eye. The two of them were naturally the most eye-catching, and now the two princes had obviously come for the sake of them. Nangong Shojia heard the coldness in Xia Jiqing's words, and his eyes changed slightly. He had lived for many years and had found many girls throughout the years, but he had never been treated like this by a woman before. On the contrary, many women wanted to marry him. However, he wasn't interested. The smile on Nangong Shojia's face did not change because of Xia Jiqing's words. Instead, he said, "I am Nangong Shojia, the second prince of the Qing dynasty. I am very happy to have met you." At the same time, Nangong Yujin also went to the side of Lu Qinwei. "I have seen many beautiful, peerless, and independent people in my life, both in this city, but also the rest of the country. But there are no woman as beautiful as you." Nangong Yujin did not hide his praise. A woman such as this one, it was really the first time he ever saw one. Lu Qinwei was unaccustomed to such a scene. Although many admired her, no one had ever been so direct before. She was unsure of how to respond for quite a while. Looking at the flustered face of Lu Qinwei, Nangong Yujin was even happier. This beautiful woman was so pure. Just a few sentences, and she was already shy. Nangong Shojia looked at his younger brother. The eloquence of his third brother was truly magnificent. Just a few words, and he had already grasped the heart of the lady. The people in the restaurant instantly understood what was going on, and I could not help but look curiously at them. I just knew the two princes wouldn't have known someone from the lobby. It turned out that it was just a drunkard who was guessing before. I noticed that the two girls looked stunning, but with their temperament, they cannot be ordinary people. It doesn't matter who they are. Now the two princes has come out, they are going to be taken away. The people shook their heads. They felt that these women would definitely follow the princes. Who wouldn't want to marry a prince? However, although the strength of these two princes was very outstanding, they were lustful people. Almost every outstanding woman within the capital had been picked up by them. These two women were truly pitiful. "Girl, I don't know what to call you." Nangong Xiujia's eyes landed on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. Before looking from far away, he had felt that she was very outstanding. Now that he was next to her, he found her bright and moving. The exquisite and beautiful face had not the slightest imperfection, especially the temperament and style, the faint scent she carried. She was not comparable to any other woman. Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang slowly stood up, although she did not care too much about the purpose of Nangong Xiujia. But the other party was still the Qing dynasty's second prince. Since they had come to the Qing dynasty, naturally they had to give him some face. Bailey Hongzhuang. Nangong Xiujia whispered her name before his lips widened slightly. What a good name. Not only is the meaning wonderful, the sound is also pleasing to the ear. Thank you for your praise, second prince. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. However, when the smile of Bailey Hongzhuang fell into the eyes of Nangong Xiujia, he became obsessed. She was already the most beautiful, but the smile made it even more so. On the other hand, Dongfang Yu and the others looked at each other. It seemed that this had nothing to do with them at all. This Qing dynasty is a big country. Although the prince's abilities are great, they're still just greedy for beautiful women. Bai Junyu frowned. The other party's actions clearly showed that they did not put them in their eyes. The actions was truly disgusting. Gong Xiaoqing. Lu Qingyue is obviously not good at dealing with this situation. Do you want to help her? Dongfang Yu looked at Gong Xiaoqing. He found it really unbearable. Everyone knew that Lu Qingyue's heart was set on Gong Xiaoqing. How could he allow for these brothers to steal her away? Gong Xiaoqing's gaze was cold. Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin were also uninviting. However, the gaze of Gong Xiaoqing was on Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lu Qingyue were two very different women. Bailey Hongzhuang was not as delicate as Lu Qingyue. On the contrary, she was independent, strong, unique, and unafraid. He believed that she would not let them off easily. There are many good delicacies and wines in our palace. I don't know if you would be interested. Nangong Xiujia's eyes were filled with a lusting light. If he managed to get Bailey Hongzhuang in his hands, he was sure that many people would be full of envy towards him. Seeing that Nangong Xiujia did not even try to hide his intentions with his speech, the disgust in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes deepened. She really had no good feeling towards the royal family. Whether it was the surname, Xinyuan, or Nangong, all of them were disgusting. Next, Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into an enchanting smile. Her pair of phoenix eyes were sparkling like the spring river. Nangong Xiujia's heart trembled. Such a beautiful person. Every smile was simply too fascinating. However, the words of Bailey Hongzhuang was something he had not expected. Thank you, second prince, but I have already eaten. The simple and honest words were impossible to refute. The dishes on the table were almost all eaten, and Bailey Hongzhuang was likely already full. However, everyone knew it was just an excuse. How could she answer so seriously? Nangong Xiujia's heart was puzzled. Did this beauty not understand what he meant? Bailey girl, come with me back to my palace. Taking a walk in my garden after a meal is also good. Nangong Xiujia tried to ask again. Oh! Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes widened slightly. If you ask me, young master, then I would have to disagree. I'm already married. Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes slightly. She was innocent and pure. This guy directly tore faces with them, but when someone was acting like this, it was better to play tricks on them. She would like to see how he could continue to reply. When the voice of Bailey Hongzhuang fell, the expression on Nangong Xiujia's face instantly became ugly to look at. How is this possible? He had never even once considered the possibility that Bailey Hongzhuang was already married. However, after hearing the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, he realized that it was indeed possible. Haha! Bai Junyu could not help but laugh slightly. He had to truly hold back to not laugh out loud. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly domineering as always. Just a single sentence, and she had already managed to make Nangong Xiujia's face turn into nothingness. In the eyes of Dongfang Yu's eyes, there was also a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang was simply too smart a woman. If you changed it to other women, then they would be at a loss for what to do when faced with such attention. It was exactly because of this that so many people loved her. She was so eccentric, and it was impossible to dislike her. Bailey girl, you were married? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head seriously. Not only am I married, there's also a child. There were children. Nangong Xiujia's eyes widened as another bomb exploded in his mind, making him completely dumbfounded. This woman, one couldn't see any traces of having given birth at all. However, it was true that ordinary women were married around this age. Cui Haoyan couldn't help but hold his hand over his mouth. Bailey Hongzhuang was simply too amazing. He was feeling pain holding back his smile. He had always thought that Nangong Xiujia was very annoying. Obviously now, he felt some sympathy towards him. Now he was completely being played by Bailey Hongzhuang as if he was a monkey. Xia Jiqing and Zhang Yunfeng both couldn't help but feel the corners of their lips twitch. Bailey Hongzhuang was simply invincible. This solution was the best she could come up with. Little Black and Little White couldn't help but laugh out loud. The owner was really a master. The ability to trash talk was seriously stronger than anyone else. Nangong Yujin was a bit dumbfounded after seeing this scene. He did not expect the brothers' luck to be so bad. This was truly a bit funny. Lu girl, you shouldn't have been married yet, right? Nangong Yujin could not help but worry. His luck shouldn't be as bad as his second brother's, right? Lu Qinyue was slightly stunned, and her eyes could not help but fall on Gong Xiaoqing's body. She very seldom lied, and it was impossible to lie about being married. However, the reaction of Lu Qinyue was seen by Nangong Yujin, and he understood everything. I want to invite Lu girl to go for a tour. I don't know what you think. However, the next moment, Gong Xiaoqing stood up and said, Qinyue is my fiancée. She is not going with the third prince. Accompanied by Gong Xiaoqing's voice, Lu Qinyue's eyes showed strong joy. Although she knew that he was just saying this to help her, she was immensely happy that he would stand up and save her from this situation. This was enough. She was happy. The people within the restaurant were also stunned. They had never expected that the story would take such an unexpected twist from what they had imagined. The woman was so young. She was already married and even had children. No one had thought of that. The other woman had a fiancé. Nangong Yujin's eyes could not help but fall onto Gong Xiaoqing's body. You said she is your fiancé? Your fiancé? With the voice of Nangong Yujin falling, the look of everyone changed again. They did not expect that the woman's fiancé would be here. Nangong Yujin even said such a thing. That was a bit too much. The third prince has always been overbearing. It is not first time that he is robbing women. It's just that today he is going too far. In the past, even if the third prince used some means to rob women of other men, he would at least not directly grab them in front of a crowd. As such, the third prince was unable to deal with them. Everyone couldn't help but feel sorry for Gong Xiaoqing. It was a blessing for this man that he had a beautiful fiancée like this. However, they had not expected their romance to be ruined today. Third prince, Gong Xiaoqing is indeed my fiancé. Lu Qin was stressed. Nangong Yujin's smile was a bit embarrassed as he said, Since it is just a fiancé, you are still yet to be married. This prince has seen you, and you're going to come with me. The voice just fell, and Dongfang Yu and all the others stood up. I did not expect this. The princes of the Qing dynasty are this unreasonable. We are also learning something new today. Hey, you dare to comment on my country and the royal family. Do you not want to live? Nangong Yujin was making an obvious threat. At this time, Nangong Xiujia's eyes landed on the body of Bailey Hongzhuang. He always felt that she was not saying the truth. He was always hanging around women, and he had a certain understanding of them. No matter from what angle he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, she had not given birth to a child. Maybe, could she be simply lying to him? Bailey girl, you will also come back with me. If you really have a man and child, I will send for them later. Nangong Xiujia slowly sat. His eyes were cold. If this was really fake, wasn't he losing face? It was better to bring her back first and then find out later. The second prince means to kidnap us women. Bailey Hongzhuang was annoyed, and a bit of coldness was in her eyes. Even if she knew that Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin were not good people, She did not think they were this bad. Gong Shaoqing and the others also took out their weapons. Since there was no way to solve it with words, they could only fight it out. Letting Nangong Xiujie, taking away Bailey Hongzhuang, that was impossible. I have seen shameless people, but I have never seen shameless people who does not want face. Your face is really thick. Xia Jiqing was angry, and she had been furious for a long time. These scums should have died long ago. This was really not giving any face to Nangong Xiujie. Their expression turned immensely difficult to look at. The look of the people listening changed. Although they could see that what Xia Jiqing had said was rather extreme, they did feel that what she said was appropriate. When they saw that Bailey Hongzhuang got ready to move, Nangong Yujin's expression changed and he sternly said, "You dare to touch us? I guess you want to have the whole Imperial Guards as your opponent? A coward like you, I am afraid, has no strength at all, only able to rely on the so-called Imperial Guards to save you." Bailey Hongzhuang was no longer caring about ridiculing them. They had already torn faces, so there was nothing to fear. When Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin heard this, their expressions turned gloomy. The words of Bailey Hongzhuang were truly too much. Even just daring to say such a thing was unforgivable. This prince will let you know how amazing this prince is. Nangong Xiujie slapped on the wine table, and the wine table directly split into 2 pieces of broken wood. It was impossible to retreat even a step. It was just that Nangong Xiujie's move did not achieve the result he wanted. As if this simple track can scare us. The irony in Bailey Hongzhuang's words were filled with mockery. This kind of guy who didn't know about heavens above heavens. After seeing the action, the waiter's face changed, and he quickly stepped forward. "Second and third prince, you know the rule on our first tower. You cannot act like this in our restaurant." Hearing this, Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin looked at each other before they looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and said, "Go out." However, Bailey Hongzhuang directly sat down on a chair. "I am not going out. What can you do about it?" Xia Jiqing and the others were not caring about the 2 princes at all. It was already a disaster. There was no reason to hold back. Since they had offended them, they could just offend them completely. Anyway, even if they did not insult them now, they would become enemies at the college tournament. Nangong Xiujie was in a hurry, but he had never seen such an arrogant woman before. This was the first time in their entire lives. "Do you know what you're doing?" Nangong Xiujie's voice was full of threats. "In the Qing dynasty, if you dare to offend me, I can promise that you can't live to exit the imperial capital." "I'm so scared." Bailey Hongzhuang patted her chest, her face not the slightest bit scared. She was clearly ironic. Nangong Xiujie and Nangong Yujin couldn't bear it any longer. If they couldn't attack, where would the prestige of the 2 of them be in the future? Gong Shaoqing and the others were somewhat worried. The royal family had always been a fearsome force, not to mention that the Qing dynasty was a big country. If Nangong Xiujie really used the power of the royal family to deal with them, then the situation would be worse. "Master, you are mocking them like this. Are you not afraid of the power of the royal family? Although the Imperial Guard is weaklings, if the real royal powerhouses comes out, then it can be troublesome." The eyes of Little Black were a little worried. Although they would be able to leave safely, there were too many teammates, and bringing all of them to have a safe exit was not easy. There was no fear in the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang. "Ew. It is natural that they are from the royal family, but before that they are from the Lingyin College. If they use the royal power to deal with a contradiction between colleges, no one will want to work with them in the future." Little Black and Little White realized that she was correct. As a result, this situation was actually not that bad. "If you fall into my hands, I will let you suffer greatly." Nangong Xiujie was gnashing his teeth. The move of Bailey Hongzhuang was simply too much. The atmosphere was tense, and everyone watching were filled with excitement. They all knew that it was impossible to do anything on the first tower without being banned. Even the princes dared not cause problems, so they were absolutely safe in this lobby. This kind of good show is not seen often, so this time's meal was definitely worth it. To each other, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was very cold. Without the layer of identity, Nangong Xiujia was nothing but trash. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, he would not hesitate to return the attack. Nangong Xiujia was furious, but as long as they were sitting within the first tower, he was completely helpless. Noticing the helplessness of Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin, Bailey Hongzhuang was also puzzled. Even the two princes dared not break the rules of the first tower. It seemed that the first tower's background was rather amazing. However, under the tense atmosphere, a voice suddenly caught the attention of everyone. Wah! The sound of a baby crying sounded together with a black-robed man who came over, carrying a child. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, his eyes lit up in happiness. Wifey, why haven't you come back yet? You need to take care of your child and your husband. Xia Jiqing and the others were instantly stunned. Who is this guy? They had never seen him before. Bailey Hongzhuang was also stunned after seeing the black-robed figure. What kind of ghost was he? How could Mo Yunjue appear here? The most important thing was that Mo Yunjue was actually cooperating with her. Although she had not had much contact with Mo Yunjue, she knew that he was not a person who'd help others. But now he was helping her with her problems? Awesome, this is great. Little Black shook his head as it said. This Mo Yunjue was absolutely perfect. Only God knows where he managed to get a kid from. Master, this person is really difficult to see through. Little White was speechless. The situation is already a mess, but Mo Yunjue dared to enter and mess the situation up once more. The courage he had was not small. Dongfang Yu and the others looked at each other. They did not know where this black-robed man came from. They didn't know any people within this country. The other people within the restaurant were also stunned. Their eyes widened in incredulity. They had previously suspected that the words Bailey Hongzhuang had said were false. They did not expect that reality proved them wrong. In this case, Nangong Xiujia wanted to take away a child's mother. This was simply too much for everyone. However, the most horrified people present was the waiter and the manager. Since when had their boss gotten child? They clearly had never heard about this. After Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin saw Mo Yunjue, their expressions also changed slightly. They had never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was Mo Yunjue's woman. This situation was getting bad. Mo Gongzi, Nangong Xiujia's face had a smile on his face and a faint gleam in his eyes. Bailey girl is your wife. Mo Yunjue smiled and nodded. Looking at this situation, it seems that there is some sort of conflict between the two princes and my lady. My lady has always had a child's temper. I hope the two princes will be able to let go of the matter. When the voice fell, Mo Yunjue directly handed the child in his hands to Bailey Hongzhuang, making it look so familiar for all who watched. Chapter 686. Mo Yunjue is helping them out of trouble in addition to Deep Beichen. When did Bailey Hongzhuang find another husband? Xia Jiqing's heart was filled with questions. This wasn't right. She had never even heard of the existence of this young master. When he listened to Mo Yunjue's affirmative answer, Nangong Xiujia's face was ugly to behold. It was no wonder that Bailey Hongzhuang was so arrogant before. She was holding the thigh of Mo Yunjue. Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin looked at one another. It seemed that they couldn't get what they wanted today. Mo Yunjue was a special existence in their eyes, just as the first tower was a special existence within the imperial capital. Originally, they thought that Mo Yunjue was just an ordinary businessman. When they wanted to bring the chef from the first tower into the palace to cook in their kitchens, the chef refused, and they wanted to kill the chef. They would never have thought that their father would save the chef and reprimanded them, saying that no matter what, it was best to not provoke Mo Yunjue. At the beginning, it was obvious that the emperor felt that Mo Yunjue's identity was a taboo, and they felt shocked. Their father was so strong, the other party was just a restaurant owner, but even their father feared him, showing that he was not a simple character. Neither Nangong Xiujia nor Nangong Yujin were stupid people. Since then, they had been very polite towards Mo Yunjue and never gotten into any contradictions with him. Since it is Mrs. Mo, naturally we will not mind it, Nangong Xiujia slowly said. Watching how the change in the attitude of Nangong Xiujia happened so fast, the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others showed confusion. This change was simply too fast. What is the identity of this Mo Gongzi? These two princes are so scared of him. The eyes of Dongfang Yu blinked with uneasiness. They wouldn't have gone from the ashes and into the fire, would they? After all, this Mo Gongzi would not help her for no reason. Gong Shaoqing had a heavy expression on his face. When he faced the two princes, he still didn't worry so much, but the sudden appearance of Mo Yunjue was too hard to understand. I don't know. Let's wait and see. I accidentally broke a table. Let the waiter put on my tab, Nangong Xiujia said. Yujin and myself have some things we need to do, so we must take our leave. The table wasn't stable enough. The second prince just helped me find a faulty table. How could I ask the second prince to pay for it? Mo Yunjue's lips were raised in a slight smile, but there was no chance in the emotions deep within his eyes. Well then, we will meet the next time the two princes come to the first tower. I hope that you will come often. Seeing that Mo Yunjue gave them a chance to step back, their expressions also softened. That's good. Thank you, Mo Gongzi. As the voice fell, Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin were no longer willing to stay at the first tower for even a minute. Today they had really lost face. After leaving through the entrance of the first tower, Nangong Yujin's face was gloomy. I did not expect such a thing to happen. At this moment, the feelings in his heart could only be described as extremely regrettable. Originally, he thought that today's harvest would be good. They never thought that it would not be a blessing but a loss of face. Nangong Xiujia's face was even uglier. Yujin, do you think that Bailey Hongzhuang is really Mo Yunjue's wife? I don't know. Nangong Yujin shook his head. If not, why would he help her? I don't know. Nangong Xiujia was also puzzled. He was quite certain that this was the first time Bailey Hongzhuang had appeared in the imperial capital. If this was the case, then Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Yunjue should not know each other. And if they did not know one another, it would be impossible for Mo Yunjue to help her. He often came to the first tower, and although Mo Yunjue came and went like a ghost, he had still seen him several times. According to his understanding, Mo Yunjue had never been the kind of person who liked to help others. On the contrary, Mo Yunjue absolutely hated trouble. Was it really like this? Was Bailey Hongzhuang truly the wife of Mo Yunjue? It seems to be the only explanation. They also seemed very matching. After Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujin left, the waiter also walked to the side of Mo Yunjue. Boss! You! Mo Yunjue lifted his right hand and stopped the waiter's words. Come here and clean up. Yes. Bailey Hongzhuang returned the child to Mo Yunjue. Is this your child? Mo Yunjue shook his head. I don't even have a lady. How can I have a child? I just heard your conversation and borrowed the child from someone else. When the voice of Mo Yunjue fell, Xia Jiqing and the others felt relieved. It seemed that the situation was not as bad as they thought. This Mo Yunjue was just trying to help out. Hongzhuang, do you know this Mo Gongzi? Xia Jiqing could not help but ask. Looking at the way the two were talking together, it was clearly not the first time they met. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head as she smiled. Yes, let me introduce you all. This is Mo Yunjue. I met him a few times. He is my friend. If she had been unsure last time when they met in Longwang Town, now she could definitely be certain that Mo Yunjue was her good friend. After all, she was not an ungrateful person, and Mo Yunjue had helped her again today. It was clear that they were friends by now. Looking back at Mo Yunjue, Bailey Hongzhuang continued to introduce. These are my classmates from the Kanglan College. Mo Yunjue nodded slightly to everyone. It is a pleasure to meet you. Gong Shaoqing and the others also nodded in greeting. Their impression of Mo Yunjue was quite good. At least he had helped them solve a big issue just now. Thank you for just before, Bailey Hongzhuang said, as her eyes were filled with sincere gratitude. Mo Yunjue just shook his hand and said, I couldn't just watch. I hope you didn't mind. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. I understand. You were just cooperating with me. When they heard Mo Yunjue say this, they had an even more favorable impression of him. It seems that this Mo Yunjue was truly a gentleman. Mo Gongzi, are you the boss of the first tower? Xia Jiqing could not forget how the waiter had referred to him as boss, and she looked at Mo Yunjue. In her eyes, the first tower was a very famous place. Yes, I'm a businessman, he said, and he could not help but glance at Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang was also finding it a bit comical. Although Mo Yunjue had said he was a businessman before, she had not felt he looked like one. She did not expect him to run such an ordinary business as a restaurant. This was out of her expectations. Mo Gongzi is a wonderful person who is very eloquent. The first tower is completely different from any other restaurant. Mo Gongzi is truly a dragon amongst men. Cui Haoyan praised. Chapter 688, Bailey Hongzhuang's ability. Cui Gongzi also has a good reputation. In the future, you should come to the first tower often, so we can all gather together. I'll naturally treat you all. Moyin answered in a calm manner. In the eyes of Bailey Hongzhuang was a bit of doubt. She could not help but feel that the Mo Yunjue she saw today was a bit different from the one she had met at the Luoyun Mountains. At that time, Mo Yunjue had this gloomy aura around him, but now was obviously much lighter. The only thing which had not changed was the pair of black eyes that was showing a dense darkness. After a bit of conversation, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others got up and left. They had been out for long enough. The two mentors and the vice president were likely to have already finished discussing the situation and might even have returned. Mo Yunjue did not say much. He just sent them out the entrance to the first tower. Hongzhuang, I did not expect that you knew people in the Qing dynasty. Xia Jiqing's eyes sparkled with excitement. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly too powerful, and even they, as her friends, did not know too much about her. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled lightly. I have only met him twice. That he helped me today was also out of my expectations. Although Dongfang Yu and the others did not speak, they were also filled with admiration. Since they had gotten to know Bailey Hongzhuang, she had truly stunned them time and time again, but now they were used to it. I did not expect that Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujun turn out to be that kind of people. Although they did not do anything to us because of Mo Yunjue today, I believe they will do their best to cause problems when we enter the tournament. Zhang Yinfeng frowned. According to her judgment, Nangong Xiujia and Nangong Yujun were both people that would cause problems. She was afraid that there would be a lot of troubles in the future. Xia Jiqing put her hand on Zhang Yunfeng's shoulder, her face filled with a smile. Yinfeng, why do you worry so much? Even if we had not insulted them today, we were still destined to be enemies at the tournament. Thank you. Zhang Yunfeng couldn't help but laugh. That is also true, but we still have to be careful. The others nodded their heads. This college tournament was truly a feast of Hongmen. I don't know how ugly Nangong Xiujia's expression will be when he realizes that we are students of the Kangling College, Xia Jiqing said with a smile. I am sure it will be very exciting. Hongzhuang, when Nangong Xiujia finds out that you aren't Mo Yunjue's wife, will he blame Mo Yunjue? Cui Haoyan showed a hint of worry. Mo Yunjue had acted to save them, so naturally he was their friend now. They could leave the Qing dynasty after the tournament, but the restaurant of Mo Yunjue couldn't. If this would cause problems for Mo Yunjue, they would feel uncomfortable and guilty. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes flashed strangely. It shouldn't be a problem. Since Mo Yunjue could make the two princes this afraid, then he must have some backing. She was certain that Mo Yunjue was not a simple character and that his backing was rather outstanding. Otherwise, it was impossible to cause even the emperor to be afraid. Since Mo Yunjue had helped them, he had to be certain that nothing would happen to him. After the return of Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, it did not take long before Lu Huayan returned with Huan Chuyu. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang and the others, Huan Chuyu slowly said, "You did a good thing today. Kangling College is not to be humiliated like this. this matter was wrong by Lingyin College. Even though he was usually a very kind person, at this moment, his face was showing traces of anger. The method that the Lingyin College used was simply over the top. Xia Jiqing and the others were also relieved. Since even the vice principal agreed with their actions, they did not have to worry about anything. We will stay in this inn and see how Lingyin College intends to resolve this matter, since they invited us to come. Naturally, it is their responsibility. The expression of Huan Chuyu revealed a trace of pride. Although the Lingyin College was strong, the Kanglan College students and mentors were not soft persimmons either. Bailey Hongzhuang returned to the room. They had full faith in the vice principal's ability to handle this matter. He was not only the vice principal at the Kanglan College, he was also a 4-tier alchemist. This is an identity which was enough to attract the respect of others. At the same time, inside the Lingyin College, things were starting to change. Ruan Yulong's face was very ugly. He originally wanted to embarrass Kanglan College, but he did not want to be the one who was embarrassed. The vice president of Lingyin College, Lin Yinghao, also had an ugly expression on his face. This time you have gone too far. It is fine to go a little overboard, but the Kanglan College is not a vegetarian. They will not let you stomp all over them. It is clear that the team from Kanglan College has already made up their mind. Unless they come and personally invite them, then they would not return. Their college tournament was prepared especially for the Kanglan College. If they don't participate, then that will be equivalent to wasting all their hard work. The most important thing is that now Kanglan College was in charge. If the team did not participate, then Lingyin College would get a reputation of being incompetent. Ruan Yulong's eyes were also serious. Obviously, this time he had gone too far, and he was not sure how to solve it. Vice President, this was indeed too much, but I don't know what to do now. Ruan Yulong looked at Lin Yinghao with a hopeful gleam in his eyes, hoping that he could save him and ensure that he did not lose his position in the college. You were too reckless. It is impossible to not be punished. As for how to solve this problem, I will discuss it with the principal. Lin Yinghao said faintly. With Lin Yinghao's voice falling, Ruan Yulong's heart sank. He understood that Lin Yinghao was telling the truth, and he was the one who had brought this problem onto himself. But why didn't he consider the reaction of the Kanglan College? The more he thought about their decisive attitude, the more he hated them. When the college tournament began, he would never let them off easily. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang got up early. They had heard about the Wubao Pavilion in the Qing dynasty. It was a place with treasures that all cultivators needed. Last night they had planned to go to Wubao Pavilion to look around, but the appearance of Nangong Shoujia had made them lose too much time, and they had to cancel. When Bailey Hongzhuang exited the room, she saw that Xia Jiqing and the others were already waiting for her outside. Currently, they all thought that living in the inn was much better than living in the Lingyin College. With the attitude Lingyin College had towards them, it was clearly a matter of not being able to live well. Now that they lived outside, they were all very happy. There was no problem with coming and going as they pleased. Hongzhuang, you are finally up. Xia Jiqing's face was filled with a happy smile as she quickly walked next to Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded her head slightly. She could see that Xia Jiqing's mood was not affected by the college tournament, that she saw their trip to the Qing dynasty as an outing, and she could not help but smile. She had to admit that Xia Jiqing's mentality was really good. Ordinary things could not affect her mood at all. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but also Zhang Yinfeng and the others felt that Xia Jiqing was a hyper person, which made them all feel much better. Since everyone has arrived, let's go, Dongfeng Yu said as he looked at all of them. Wubao Pavilion was very famous in the Qing dynasty's imperial city. Just asking around, everyone knew the location of the pavilion. When they arrived in front of the Wubao Pavilion, their eyes could not help but widen slightly as they looked at the purple-black building. The building was delicate, and it was obvious that the architects had spent a lot of time thinking about the construction of this building. A strong sense of power came from the building, making everyone feel a sense of respect from just looking at it. Wubao Pavilion was split into 3 layers. The first layer had medication and herbs needed by the different cultivators. The second layer had weapons needed by cultivators, and the third and final layer had inscriptions. Not even mentioning the first and second layers, the third layer alone was enough to consolidate the status of Wubao Pavilion. Inscriptions had always been rare, and many practitioners had no way of getting in touch with such inscriptions. However, there were inscriptions in the Wubao Pavilion. How could cultivators not revere this place? They slowly walked into the Wubao Pavilion. As soon as they entered, they could see that the business was good. There were a lot of practitioners inside buying the medicines and herbs they needed. Medicines and herbs were easy to consume, and after they had been consumed, they would be gone. As such, the cultivators had a great demand for them. The layout of this Wubao Pavilion was very different from other shops, and it was giving a sense of comfort when one was inside. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were filled with a fascinating gleam of praise. Wubao Pavilion was truly a famous place within the imperial capital, and the things they had here were also eye-opening. The medicines and herbs in this Wubao Pavilion are so many, and many of the things that are hard to find and exceedingly rare can be found here. It was hard for Xia Jiqing to hide her excitement. The prices were naturally very high, but it was often so that, even if you had the money, you couldn't buy them. The amount of items in the Wubao Pavilion was without a doubt the most she had ever seen. It was clear why they were doing so well. Bai Junyu's face lit up with a smile that radiated like sunshine. This Qing dynasty is a big country. The number of alchemists is much higher than in smaller countries. Naturally, it can't be compared. Xia Jiqing nodded slightly. This was also the power of a big country. It was very rich. It was truly an eye-opener. If you need anything, then go buy it, Gong Shaoqing said slowly. The market price in Wubao Pavilion was quite fair, and one would not suffer a loss from buying their items here. For some time, everyone's eyes were on the counter, picking the medicinal herbs and pills they needed. Before coming to the Qing dynasty, they had prepared a lot of money, so if they saw something they needed, they would be able to purchase it. Bailey Hongzhuang also looked at the things that were for sale, but she had no intention of buying anything. She was an alchemist herself, after all. However, just as Xia Jiqing and the others were buying things, a familiar and provocative voice rang out from behind them. "Hey, see who is here." It turned out to be the ones who can't even prove their own identity. Lu Jingqi's eyes were smug and filled with sarcasm. Yesterday, because of the mentors, she did not have the opportunity to humiliate Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Today, they wanted to see the famous Wubao Pavilion. They had never expected they would run into them here. Bailey Hongzhuang and the other people slowly turned around. After seeing the group of cultivators from Beihai College, their faces changed slightly. "I forgot to look at the calendar before going out today. When going out, I actually encountered something so unsavory. It really made my mood bad." Xia Jiqing did not hesitate to fight back. She was not going to eat a loss. "Xia Jiqing, you are really poisonous." Lu Jingqi was gloomy, but after a bit she recovered. "It's better than some people who are blocked in front of the door and can't enter." Bailey Hongzhuang gave Li Jingqi an indifferent glance and tuned to Xia Jiqing. "Why do you care about what mad dogs are saying? They like to bark, but do you have to accompany them?" She is really annoyed with this group. No matter where they go, they were like a group of annoying flies. Listening to the words of Bailey Hongzhuang, Xia Jiqing could not help but raise her thumb. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly too poisonous when she spoke. "You are right. Let them bark, why bother with them?" Xia Jiqing smiled and nodded before she began continuing to choose which items to buy. Lu Jingqi and the others' faces turned immensely ugly at that moment. This Bailey Hongzhuang was so good at trash talking. They had tried to humiliate Bailey Hongzhuang and the others. Now the words of Bailey Hongzhuang had made them fall into such an embarrassing situation. "Bailey Hongzhuang, you can't be too much." Lu Jinglin could not help but say out loud. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled mockingly. "Lu girl, what you said was really interesting. From the beginning to the end, you were looking for trouble. Now you're saying that I am too much? I think your logic is really quite something." Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Lu Jingqi coldly, and then she said, "If you want to continue, then let's just fight it out. If you do not wish to fight, then obediently shut your mouth. Don't continue to provoke us if you are cowards." The words of Bailey Hongzhuang were very strong. This group of people were all bark but no bite. Although they were afraid of fighting, they were constantly finding trouble. As soon as it was said, Lu Jingqi and the others looked at each other, and their faces turned embarrassed. They could not help but look at Xiao Lanmei, but they could see that he had already gone to the counter to pick his goods and was not paying attention to them. Obviously, Xiao Lanmei had no interest in what they were doing, and if they truly became hands-on, Lu Jingqi would be beaten. In their minds, the two Lu sisters could only give up their plans. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.